Yes, I am here. Hello.
Thank you. So we have
Uh, Sorry that I can't hear you.
You got cut off, Ted.
Hristo Pavlov next, and he'll be our final speaker for today. Our uh, irreplaceable and prolific author of so many useful and necessary pieces of software. So please inform us about Occult Watcher Cloud recent updates. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I start, just to check, how much time do I have for this talk? Sorry, I think you muted
Muted,
yourself
yeah.
again.
It shows
It's
30 minutes on this
Okay.
on the agenda.
but
Okay, thank you.
But it's not way here.
Okay,
but you're the
so
last speaker and can go forever.
okay, let's see how it goes. So basically, I haven't there has been a lot of development in the OWC space in recent months, and then there were some beta testers that were involved in the process of testing, and then maybe it's enough time now has passed, and the new features I've been working on have been tested enough, and so they can be presented to a wider audience. So I just wanted to give an update of what I've been up to. Some of the stuff that I'm going to show you is not completely finished or not completely integrated with the rest of Code Watcher. So just bear this in mind. Basically, the whole idea was I wanted to improve the way the events search works for everyone. So as you know, right now, some people find events, they tag the events in OWC. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know that. The end result is that the majority of the observers use the desktop version of Account Watcher, and they simply receive the events they're interested in as feeds. And there's a couple of limitations in this process. One of them is that obviously the number of the events which are available for people to consider observing is limited to the number of events that have been tagged or published by the feed maintainers. And sometimes some people want to observe more events or less events, and it's more difficult um, to kind of satisfy everyone's needs in what they want to do. On the other hand, the initial idea of a CodeWatcher Cloud or OWC, I'm going to call it, was that it's going to pre-compute a very large number of events for the next period of time, which is 2 months right now. And it's going to make those available for everyone to search. And I hope you can see my screen. Um, the normal way people would search for events right now is this page which I built very long time ago, which is not really suited uh, for more advanced searches, if I can put it that way. So obviously you can put, on any number of asteroids, you can pick a date that you want and you can search, but basically that's it. So the intent of this page was really for people to find a particular event they're interested in, but they already should have known what event they're interested in, basically. So that's why this page is not really for finding events to observe. And there's some, there's the search past events and search by star, but all of this is really if you already know the event you're interested in. For example, it may have been announced in the email groups or somewhere else, and you can come and find it, and maybe you can find the latest prediction. So the idea was that there was a need for a different page, for a page where people can just go and do a more advanced search with more parameters to be set in a longer period of time, not just one day. So what I did is that I tried to come up with a way to filter events and filter events that are observable for someone based on a minimum number of parameters. And what I wanted to do is kind of tie everything to the aperture of the telescope that is going to be used. So I spend a lot of time data mining, if I can call it this way, using all of the events that OWC calculates, and also looking at what people have tagged and what they have observed to try and come up with a formula that will successfully filter the events that are only visible for a certain aperture. And then what I'm going to show you next is, so currently this is actually live, all pages that I'm going to show you. You can go and try them after that. They're just not yet inserted as links on the top. The only links you can see are those ones. But if you go and simply change the URL, and there's two new parts. The first one is called search. So if you go to the search page, the search page is going to look like this. So some people may not be able to see this second page, but I'm going to enable this hopefully after this meeting, or maybe tonight or tomorrow. So probably most people will just see the filter search and the display options. So that's something which I kept for internal beta testing, but I'm going to go walk you through this page. So basically the idea is these are the different parameters that you can use. And some of the important ones, which are here on the top, is the star magnitude, the minimum duration, and then the magnitude drop, and then aperture, how many detection frames you would want to be able to record. And there's a separate parameter which I called Mac adjust, which is an adjustment parameter. I'm going to tell you about this a bit more. So these ones at the end are the ones which I figured could allow you to configure the observability criteria. I call it this, of how observable is the event based on your telescope aperture. And everything else is kind of other things that you're probably very familiar with. So for example, you have a location. I'm going to talk about this soon. Then you can configure, you're interested only in events which are up to that far from, whatever, from center, 1 sigma or shadow. People familiar with this, the users of a Code Watcher. And then the other stuff is you want to order one way or another, and there's some other filters, which are minimum probability, the maximum sigma path weight. So these two control the accuracy of the predictions that you want. So maximum path width is, this is what sigma PW is what's the error in path width that you're interested in. So by default, it's a very large one, but obviously you can set this to 1 or to 0.4, and if it goes 0.3 or less, this will be a very accurate prediction. And there's some other ones, again, which are set to very high values. You can filter by the RUWE value from Gaia for star accuracy. And then you have some other ones which are kind of self-explanatory. So I'm going to show first of all, let's talk about the locations. So probably some of you have seen this already because it's available. But if you go to your OWC page and you log in, you have to log in, and you go to your user profile. Under the user profile, sorry, actually I need to do that. Under the user profile, there's a tab called Saved Sites. At some point, I released an update to a CodeWatcher desktop, which will push your sites from a CodeWatcher desktop to this online version. So if you've been using it for a while, the latest version, your sites would be there already. But this is a very simple UI to let you edit new locations. The idea was that probably what you have in a CodeWatcher desktop is what you really want for your searches, but you can add more. I have a lot of sites just because I've been testing with some sites of other people, and that's why I have this. But probably the majority of people will have one or two. But anyway, this is how you can you can add a new site. The UI is not very user friendly, but you just need to copy the numbers from somewhere, not as degrees, minutes, seconds, but a floating point number. You can create your site, you can edit your site, you can do all this. So this is how the site where you're looking, when you're searching from, is defined, and then you can pick it from this place. So what happens next? So you can go to this page, for example, and I can do a search. I'm not sure what I've done this. So it's Las Negras. I think this is in Spain. The search may take a little while. So this was fast. It depends on the number of dates and depends on many things and depends on how far you're searching for. And then it presents you with this page with all the events which were found basically in this nice list. And then it presents the path of the events in two different ways. So one of them is just a normal Google map with it shows you where the path is. And then the other one is if you go to display options, you can control this bit on the right. So right now the options are switching between a zoom map and what people are familiar with. This is the globe plot of OWC. So you can look at this mode if you want. And yeah, so this is how you can go and check out what's the available events. I want to go back to telling a bit more about the formula criteria because I've been asked this question a lot. So this is another page which I'm going to come back a bit later to defining a filter, and this is where I have the explanation of what the formula is. So the formula is this, and it's based on the telescope aperture. It's based on the max duration of the event, which comes from the event. Then the detection frames, which are configured by the user. How many frames do you want to record? And I would suggest 4 at least. And then there's this magic value of 8.5, which after a bunch of testing, I figured out this is what works for most people. And then there's the mag adjust, which is the additional setting to adjust this formula. So for example, if you have maybe very dark skies, or you have a very large aperture, maybe this formula is not going to be perfect for you. Maybe it's going to show you, less stuff or more stuff. So this is how you can come to the search page and you can just configure any value you want. And this other page explains exactly how to use it. So that's the basic search of, this is pretty much explaining what I did to go and come up with all of this new way of searching. So the next step was that I intended this search to for people to actually be able to define their own filters that are specific to their own needs in a way. So right now in a CloudWatcher, you can go and so in a CloudWatcher, as you all know, in the event filters, you can go and you can play with these values. But basically, the only thing that you can configure here is what's the distance from the center line or from somewhere, and then basically what's the rank maybe, or how faint is the start. There's not a lot of parameters. What you're limited by is how many events are actually going to be available in a CloudWatcher. With this search, which is in OWC, the number of the events that are available are pretty much all of the events that OWC have calculated. And if you go to the homepage, to the search page, it will tell you how many events are currently available for the period of time of 2 months, and that's like 5 million events, 4.7 million events. That's a lot more than what's available in a CloudWatcher. So the idea was to allow people to define their own filters based on this. And the way I envisage this would work is that there's this other page, which I showed you, which is the filters page. And then if you come to the filters page, you pretty much see what was already on the detailed search, but it's kind of arranged in a different way. And you can go and create a filter. And I currently have 3 filters defined. You have the filter name, and then you can, set your general observability criteria, as I just explained. And then you can set some other stuff, what's your site, what's the distance, all of the other things that you already saw in on the other page. And you can save this as a filter for you. I can have up to 3 filters. I had to have a limit just because of the intention that after this is fully integrated with a CloudWatcher, these filters will run on the server for everyone, for all the filters that they have. And I needed some way to control the load of the server. So that's why there's a limit of the number of filters. And I thought that 3 would be sufficient for most people. But obviously there may be ways I could consider to allow for more filters. So once you have your filter defined, the idea is that this will somehow show in a CodeWatcher, and I've been thinking a lot about exactly how to do that, and it's not 100% defined. And then OWC will find the events based on your filter, and it will bring them to you in your CodeWatcher. So this is not done yet, but what you can do is you can go to this other page, to this other tab, which is available to everyone, which is called filter search, which is pretty much exactly the same thing as the detailed search, with the difference that all the specific parameters of your search are actually defined in your filter rather than on this page, which makes it a bit shorter. There's more space basically for search. And then you can do exactly the same thing. And I'm gonna run another search, which will return a lot more events, just so you can see what's gonna happen. And this is really based on your criteria of what you want to be found. And this again is currently available both these pages. So you can see there's a lot of events, and you can go and you can use your arrow keys to if you want move between the different events. From the display point of view, there's this option called zoom and center on selection. This is applicable for the map for the Google Map plot. So one way to do it, I thought it would be useful, is that when people switch between events, then nothing moves in the map. The map is centered on the location chosen for your site that you've done your search, and then basically you can zoom out or zoom in the map to any level you want. You can even move it to anywhere you want, and as you click between the different ones, the different events, you will see the path without the map changing. And then also the daylight and the twilight lines will be also displayed here. In the other mode, which is zoom and center, OWC will actually try to zoom based on the distance of the path from your site. And then if I choose something which is small, so this is the last column, for example, 8 kilometers, it will pretty much zoom in. So that's the second option that can be selected to display. The other parameter for the display is this one called show the minimum aperture required to observe the event. So this comes back again to this formula. So what it's going to do is it's going to solve it backwards from from everything else to tell you, oh, by the way, what's the minimum aperture that it's necessary. And some people might find this useful. It's not enabled by default, but you can click it. And then it tells you that many of these events, well, that's like 3, 4, 5 centimeters. These are really bright stars. And as you can see, they are really bright stars. These ones in particular. Probably my filter has been set like this, but it has 10 centimeters 11, and you can go more after that. So that's the general thing of what I want to show you. Again, these ones will be available for now more people to play with. I will put them at the top. They're again not integrated currently with a CodeWatcher desktop, but I'll be working on trying to come up with the best way for this to happen. I've already received some other feedback from other people about what may be useful to show on the right, etc. And there's another, so something else which I kind of consider is another way of using the whole CodeWatcher, the whole CodeWatcher system in a way. So right now, for someone to announce a station for event, they need to have their event in a CodeWatcher, or I guess that most people would do that, right? So if you, where is it? So you need to have your event, and then you need to select your event, and then you can go and you can add to. So if you only observe from one place, maybe do that. If you want to add a station online, then you know that you can just open the event, and then it will show you. You need to go to the prediction you're interested in, and then it will show this interface where you can add a station, and this is how you can announce your station as well. So the other thing which I did was I added this button Add Station on this screen. So this means that now it's actually possible for people to search for events to observe without using a CodeWatcher desktop. They can just come to this page. They can do their search based on the parameters that they want. So currently this is only 6 days ahead, and I intend this to remain like this, just because again, the resources that are needed for the search. But when this is integrated as a filter with a CodeWatcher desktop, it will be searching for the entire period, not just the 6 days, which is a limitation of this search. But if you just want to see what's available for the next week, you can come to this page, you can do your search, you can find an event that may be interested in. For example, let's do a search, a different filter. I think this will return fewer events. So you can find one that you may be interested in, and then if you just press the Add Station button, it will directly go to just a shortcut, and this didn't work for my demo. No, it actually did work. Okay, that's your station. I'm not sure why the path is not plotted though, so something didn't work. But the idea is, you will go to this page, it will display everything, and you can just by single click go and add your station as something that you want to observe. And then, yeah, I don't know why this didn't work. But basically, that's the idea. So this is how you can add a station to your event. Okay, there's something I need to look at. And again, that's exactly the same interface as everything else, and you can go out and add it. And once this is done, the event that has been found using these new screens will be added to your CodeWatcher, and the next time a CodeWatcher desktop, and the next time it synchronizes, this event will show up in your list. And maybe some of you know an event has to be tagged for it to appear in a CodeWatcher desktop. So if, for example, you're searching an event, so you want to observe an event that hasn't been tagged, and that's probably one of the advantages of this way of search. When you try to add a station for it, for example, this one, there's no tags on it, it will automatically tag it in some way. This one works. So it actually tells you submitting the station will tag it as OW personal. That's like your own event. You found this event. And then once this is done, yeah, this event will be basically tagged, and that's just something the way OWC works, and it's required basically. So I think that's the high level of the new search capabilities. Maybe another thing I want to mention quickly is that this explain button. So this is in the detailed search. For example, if you knew that an event wasn't returned by the search, but you expected this event to be returned by the search, you can use this explain button, and you can just put the event ID, or you can put a semicolon separators of different event IDs. And I'm just going to choose a different site because this event is included, or maybe I'll just show you this. So if you do that and you do a search, what it will do, it will go and find this single event, and it will tell you why it's not returned. But this one is actually found, so it's there. But if you scroll down, you will see a lot of different filter results, and it will tell you why this event is included. These are all the different checks that are done. But for example, if this event was not included, let's just go with a different site, and this event is not going to be observable from there. It will explain basically what happens and why it's not there. And the stuff in red is the one that's been the reason why it's been excluded. It can tell you, well, the star altitude is minus 35 degrees. You can't see it from that site. But this would be useful from some of the other parameters, for example, that you may need to tweak just to get better feel of how the star magnitude and the other adjustment parameters work. So I think I have 5 minutes until the end of the scheduled talk to take some questions, and then obviously I can keep talking if people are interested. Depends on where all the questions.
Well, I'll jump in and ask. I'll be the first one to already ask for an enhancement
Okay.
even before it's released. No, but one of the things that I look at on Occult Watcher desktop is number of submitted stations, because there are a lot of people who are much more reliable and mature than I am, and they look quite far ahead,
Okay.
and they are the ones that sign up for for events that I could also do as well. But if I have limited time, I'll choose one that somebody or multiple people have already signed up for and add my cord to that, because I
Okay.
think that would be better than a lot of single cord events. I didn't see number of submitted stations on the table or list in the search here.
Yes. So first of all, let me just explain that you can actually do this already. Exactly your use case that you're interested in. This is something that a code watcher does already for everyone. And the reason this is the way this works, I'm just going to explain how this works, is everyone has this special feed called planned observations. And you can unsubscribe from this. I can't remember now whether it's subscribed by default or not. But basically, this feed includes all events that somebody has already signed up for, or therefore there's some stations for this event. So by merely subscribing to this feed, which I think is enabled by default, this means that a code watcher will already apply your filter and will show you all of these events already here. So you can find those events. That's in terms of how you can, find events that other people have submitted stations for. The other question is, yes, so I could add more parameters to this table. I was thinking of making it configurable similar to the way a code watcher works. But for the majority of the events that will be returned by this search, I expect that there will be no one basically
Can
who
I,
has
can
signed
I,
this.
Christoph, doesn't it show that if, in the, below the map on the station sort, won't it show when observers already signed up?
Yes, so this will, I don't think I've hooked it up right now. So right now, this plot only shows you where your station is. But if there's someone who has signed up for an event, it should be very easy for me to just enhance this in a normal way. Let me test that. So that's an event on 3rd of October. This sounds like a good event. So if I go and open this up, I think that this will show me the actual stations. Yes, so you can see there's a bunch of stations here. These are these people. I just didn't add this to this plot, but I can easily add it to this plot as well. But I also wanted to make this screen a little bit lightweight because drawing all the extra chords and returning all the extra station is just adds a bit more to the whole load. So maybe the experience will be a bit slower when people move between events. But I understand the
Well,
concern. So
yeah, okay. So then that takes me orthogonally to the thought that maybe a filter that says only show me events for which more than one or more people have already submitted, that I can add my chord to. That would be the other way to look at it, but whatever works for you.
yeah. So as I said, this is not necessary because this is already what the code watcher does. I can easily implement that, but that's not going to be any
I see.
advance in a way from what's already available.
Right, because of the planned events.
That's correct. So
Right. Yeah,
because
that's
already everyone has those, and they're returned in a code watcher. Obviously, there's the difference, and that's one of my biggest issues right now. I need to figure out how a code watcher cloud, which is the web version and the desktop version, interact with each other. And there's some very difficult questions there because some people
Yeah.
are more used to doing the
I'm sure.
on the web, other people are more used to go to a desktop, so it's not completely consistent.
Mhm.
There's
And
also, there's
yeah, I need
also
to
a
think about this.
column. There's also a column that you can add that shows you the number of people that signed up for an event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do
You're
have
not
that
you're
enabled
not showing that, right?
on a Cult Watcher desktop. I do have that visible, and that's what I use. But I get a lot of zeros.
Yes, and I would expect that if you use this search, you'll also get a lot of zeros.
Okay.
Because so I'm not sure how people are going to use this, right? So this is one piece of feedback, and I definitely gonna remember this. But I was expect just because of the nature of the search, which is search all events that are not available in Account Watcher and nobody could have possibly subscribed for or added a station for, signed up for, then I would expect that the vast majority of the events will actually have no one.
Yeah,
You will be
would make sense.
the first one. But the advantage now is that doing this, if, for example, someone finds an event and all of these are tagged, but if someone finds an event that it hasn't been tagged, which means hasn't been discovered by other people as a good event, the fact that someone may submit a station for this event will automatically make this visible to everyone else in the Code Watcher's plant observations, because now you will be the first one to add a station. So somebody needs to be the first one, and understand that some people are interested in, I want to observe what everyone wants to observe, but someone has to submit the first station.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a link to grab the star coordinates in the planetarium or directly in Nina, for example?
Okay, so again, this comes back to the relationship or how the web version and the desktop version work like. All of this is currently available in the desktop version, which runs on Windows only. I know that some people run it on a Mac via other systems, so maybe Linux via Wine. But here there are integrations with various planetary programs. So C2A is the one that comes by default, but there's add-ins for Guide and for Chart UCL, and maybe there's another one as well. So this is how you can integrate directly from here. Other than this, if you have an event and you just click on the event, the one that I showed you before, in the predictions, there's a whole bunch of parameters on the site, and then you can see the coordinates of the star in international reference frame or the apparent at the time of the event. So you can do that. If it's a Gaia source, I also have a link to Gaia, for example, which you can click on. And then on the previous page, which is no, not this one, sorry, let me show you another one. So if I go to the event, so this is the page of the event, and it shows you a little screenshot kind of what the star field looks like and the different predictions. But if you click on this actually opens the online version of Aladdin, and you can see the star field with all the different, the stars around it. It's just going to take a little while.
This is a way to check your field of view. Okay.
Yes,
and in fact,
you could use that.
From this window, the best way is to cut and paste the name of the star and to put it, for example, in sky chart.
Absolutely, you can do, different people use different ways. You can definitely do that as well. I'm just explaining what's currently available of ways of integration. But in the end of the day, you can always come to here. You can copy the star. That's the star. You can click on the star as well. So if you click on the star, I think this opens the Visia view of the star, which returns you this.
It's also true that if you declare a station for an event, then it will show up in OW desktop, and then you can use the normal tools you'd use in the Occult Watcher desktop to access your star charting programs and things like that. But if that's what you're interested in, then that's a good way to get access to finder charts for your target star for an event that you are going to observe. This search process is largely about identifying an event that might be interested, and then declaring a state. Once you declare that you're going to observe, then it integrates into a desktop.
And then the last thing you can do is you can copy the occultation elements in the occult format, and you can paste those in a code. Or once you've announced a station, you can actually open a code directly from the Code Watcher desktop, and then you can use all of the other tools from Occult, including pre-pointing stars and star charts and all of this as well.
I have a question. first of all, just like to say thank you for doing this because it makes a lot of difference for us Mac users. It's been a bit of a pain to try and use a Occult Watcher in UTM, and it's pretty slow as well. So thanks for that, because having a web-based search is a lot easier for a location. So I have a question about detailed search. So I've tried putting this up on cloud.occultwatcher.net, and I get filter search and display options, but I don't get a tab
Yes,
that
yes. So
says
this is what
detailed search like on yours.
yeah, this is what I mentioned in the beginning. So what you see here is my view as I have a different account status. So
Okay.
I use some performance data, which I use, for testing. But currently, this is not enabled for everyone. I will enable this for everyone, so people
Okay.
can try it. But it's not available right now. It will be sometime in the next 24 hours. I can definitely promise.
Okay.
Maybe much sooner than this.
Sounds good. And will any of this impact the interfacing with Astrid at all?
Interfacing with what?
With Astrid.
With Astrid, I
Yeah.
don't think so. So Astrid is completely separate. It does its own queries to OWC.
Yeah, so the APIs remains the same, right? No plans to change that, because that's how a lot of people are syncing stations down from OW
Yes.
Cloud through
So
to Astrid, right?
again, long term, and that's kind of what I try to touch on a little bit on. So my idea was that people may come here, may play with this, I guess the main point will be to get a confidence in the way the automated filtering searches for them. Maybe they would like to find out what's the MAC adjustment parameter. One thing I want to say is that the way this was built with the idea to exclude events which are definitely not observable. So I would normally expect that if you set up your filters for your aperture, most people will get events that are marginal. So they'll get more events that they would, some of them are probably not going to be observable. But anyway, once individual observers find what works for them in terms of filter, they can define it as a filter. And then these filters, again, as I said, my intention was they to work automatically, and the events that are found will be displayed in a CodeWatcher desktop somehow. I know that you're not an CodeWatcher desktop user, and maybe that's not what you expect. But even if you go to the detailed search, once you've added your event to your My Events, right. And My Events is a concept in a CodeWatcher, the desktop, not in cloud. Maybe at some point the intention is to add it here. But once this event is your My Event, then Astrid will find it with its normal way because it's your event basically. So once you press the add station and you've went through this process and you've announced your intention to observe, my understanding is that at this point, Astrid will very well know about this event because it's your event now.
Sounds good. Excellent. One other request. Is it possible? I know you're limiting the number of filters. Is it possible to increase it maybe to 6 or 10? Like I have, I think 4 different scopes I use, depending on the event, and 3 that would only really cover 3 scopes, right?
Yes.
So really
I think it is. So still, I'm up to find out exactly how much load is this because the automated process is not working. But maybe my approach will be similar to the other approach. So you know that there's some other limits in the CodeWatcher, or maybe you don't. But if you try to submit too many stations, at some point, a CodeWatcher is going to be unhappy until you've reached your limit of stations. There are a lot of observers which are more active, or they do more observing, that have this limit change for them. So I'm happy to change it on an individual basis for people who who observe more.
Okay.
But don't want to have it in a completely unlimited way because this could impact the performance of the servers.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Need to upgrade
I
to the
assume,
Pro
so
version.
another thing, I assume that probably most people on this meeting are maybe the people who would like to have more stations, and I understand that. So that's
Mark,
that's okay.
I'll mention that's also part of the reason I asked Risto about adding the minimum aperture, because then with one search I can immediately see what aperture range I can use for the event. I can see that, okay, I can only use the 80 millimeter or more on this. So it allows me to kind of scope out ahead of time. I can set my aperture to my maximum aperture, then I can look down the list and I can see which events might be viable for the smaller aperture scopes as well. So you get a little bit of both by that.
Yeah, yeah. I think having a range would certainly be the way to go on that, because the other thing as well is you
Sorry,
know,
what do you mean by range?
like a range of apertures rather than specify a aperture.
Yeah,
Well,
that's going to be more difficult and
well,
not very useful.
you
You
don't
just
really need
go,
a range. You just need to know, you
You
know.
need to know the minimum.
yes.
Yeah, but how do we know that the aperture is correct? Because I guess that's just something that's been
Well,
pre-calculated.
the
Once
magnitude,
that
the mag
calculation's
adjust,
done.
you play around with your numbers until you figure out which mag adjust works for your setups and your conditions and your
I suppose
preferences.
I could always just put it higher than it is as well, right? I guess that's another way to
You can
things
put it
like that,
higher,
right.
but if you don't own a telescope that with that aperture, then obviously you cannot observe. So maybe what you should do, you should put your highest aperture you can use for a particular site, for a particular location, and then
And then
this
you have
will
the
only,
minimum aperture as your guide. Then.
yeah.
Right, but
But then
how's that minimum aperture calculated?
yes,
Like,
so this is
what are you basing that on?
Sorry.
it's based on the formula that I showed you before, which I came up
Right.
with, which is this one. So this
Okay.
is the formula which is used to determine whether an event is observable. So
Okay.
when someone puts an aperture here for a search, this means
Right.
that you only see events that can be observed for an aperture up to this. But some
Okay.
of these events, the stars are much brighter than than what's necessary for this aperture. So by solving the same equation in the other way around, I can tell you, oh, by the way, for this star, that's the minimum aperture that you need, and the other parameters, obviously the
So it's
detection
basically
frames,
that,
etc.
just that custom formula then. So yeah, okay. Well, I suppose I can just change the aperture, can't I, to make it work? So,
I suggest you start playing with it on this detailed
Yeah.
search page. Once Risto enables that for everybody, you'll be able to play around with this and I think get an idea how it works.
yeah. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
It's
I think
much-
Ted
it's
Swift
much
has his
needed.
hand
It's
up.
much needed. Thank you very much. So I've been watching this for a while. So thank you.
So the general thing, I'm trying to grow the online capability of OWC, but there's some very difficult design decisions there. Because probably what's going to happen in the end is that maybe the workflow for people who use only web will end up being different than the workflow for people who use a CodeWatcher desktop. But I think that's maybe inevitable. But the intention is that most of the features which are available on the CodeWatcher desktop, I hope will become available on the web version, so people would not have to use.
But before people drop off, I see we have a question from Ted Swift. I just want everybody to know that I've sent out the link for tomorrow's meeting to all the same locations that I sent the announcement for day one. So look on groups.io or your local particular location, and please use tomorrow's link instead of today's link for tomorrow's meeting.
Thank you. Quick question, Hristo. Two questions actually. Can we search for unnumbered objects yet?
No. So this is a limitation of OWC, and one reason for this is just because of the sheer number of events that would be calculated, and there's an assumption that, well, your asteroid needs to be, the orbit needs to be known well enough, for the predictions to kind of make sense. However, there's also another limitation in OWC. You're not going to see any events which have a drop, duration less than 0.1 second. But some of the near Earth asteroids, which are very small, so that's on the other range, can have shorter maximum durations. But these events could be still very valuable and interesting, and especially with scientific interest. The way this is kind of solved right now is by the campaigns. So they're different, different campaigns, and usually coming from scientific people. They publish these events specifically. But what I thought that I'm going to do is that I can amend some. So in addition to all the events that OWC calculates already, which are all numbered asteroids, and they're all events that longer than 0.1 seconds, I may add a configuration, and then I'm not sure who can provide feedback on this, but you can just say, okay, maybe we want these specific objects also listed because they are of a particular interest. And then I can easily add, a small number of them. Obviously not the, half a million
Not the
of them,
full
but
set, special, maybe
I think,
special
yeah.
requests or something.
that's correct.
Well,
Yeah.
we do already have a list of about 40 or 50 asteroids which are considered priority based on NEA considerations. So
Yeah.
So that's very easy. It's very easy to add 50 or 100, right? But not hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. Okay. The other quick question was, I think I emailed you directly a few months ago. Right now, you said OW Mobile isn't really supported, and
Yes.
maybe that's some project for the next. But will the API keep working at least so that we can keep limping along with the version we have? I'm on the Android version actually.
Yes, so that's a good question. And then so what happened there is that the Android and the iOS version were developed separately, and they're published separately. You need an account with either Google or Apple to be able to publish something as a developer. And they have some requirements about, you need to maintain your software, you need to do different things for the software to remain available on Apple or Google stores. So both versions have been have expired basically. So that they have requirements for the Android version, for example, it needs to be built with the latest version of their SDK, blah blah blah. Otherwise, it's not available. So they're not currently available. There was also another problem is that because they were built separately, they were different in a way. So I do intend to, at some point, rebuild them and republish them, both with as a single application, and then it will become available. But right now, they're not available for new users. I believe that old users, it should still work. Is this not the case for you?
It's certainly working for me as of last night.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, it's very nice to be able to be out in the
I
dark.
understand. So obviously that's a problem because new users cannot download it. That's
Yeah.
That's something that basically needs. So as you all know, everything needs time. So
Yes.
to be able to do it. So
Can you share the AKT
I would
file?
very much like to to have enough time to do all of this.
Okay. I see Kai has his hand up too.
Yeah, maybe this already exists and I haven't seen it. Is there a way on Occult Watcher Cloud when declaring a station to enter directly the latitude and longitude of it rather than clicking on the map?
No, it's not possible right now.
I would love that because most of the time when I'm mobile, I find my stations on my own Google map, and then I have to hunt around and find the same location on Occult Watcher Cloud.
Okay. Can you send me an email with this request?
Sure.
Because I'm probably gonna forget. So I'm not sure how exactly this is gonna work, but this is a particular enhancement which I understand some people may
Sure.
want to be able to do.
And thanks again for all your work on both of these products. They're just fabulous. There's an XKCD comic you may be familiar with, a whole stack of various blocks, and it's one little block at the bottom saying some open source project that the entire universe is dependent on. Well, Bristow, you're one of those little blocks.
Is the APK file available, Distro?
Sorry, what was APK?
The Android, the Android app, actually. Instead of downloading it,
okay.
Share
So you're saying that you can host it on a different on different store for people to download. Is this
well, not even a store. You could email it to somebody and they could install it. I used it on Android and it works great. And but it isn't in the store, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's correct. So I am not sure. I need to go and dig up through my archives to figure out. Okay. Are there any other questions?
I just see one question in the chat from Jean-Francois. Can you add multiple selection so we can select a location on the map with multiple events in the same night?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not
Is this
sure.
on the search
So,
or?
so if you've searched for some and you notice that there are several cracks that
Okay, I see.
overlap in one spot and you want to choose one mobile location for the whole night rather than running around all over the countryside. You could uh uh you could select several and announce a station for several events with one location.
And then sleep in your car between locations, between events.
Exactly.
Got it.
Okay, I think yeah, that's not very easily doable right now, but at least you need to have your general area of where you may want to go with your car this night, you know. So I guess this is the first search, and then once you've identified your events, yeah, currently you need to add them individually. Maybe one thing I could do is like a checkbox, so you can add stations to multiple events, maybe in some automated way. But yeah, no, that's not.
For now, you have to declare your stations one event at a time.
Yes.
Which in theory, it's not too bad. If you're just doing 2 to 3 events a night, it's probably quite unusual to do more than 2 events a night.
Well, for somebody like Mike Skrutsky, who is automatically programming his setup to slew to the various stars and record them automatically, somebody like that might find that multiple events from one location convenient in the future.
It would be convenient, but I use Occult 4 to predict everything, so it's just comprehensive. I don't need any more.
There's Mike. Okay. Okay.
And I see one question from Oliver, which is, will asteroid moon be added in the future? Yes, this is one of the things which is lacking right now. It's a more challenging thing to do than it may seem. I hope that one day, yes, OWC will be able to calculate moon predictions as well. But currently, it cannot do that automatically. People can still upload events of moons because, well, people who are the feed maintainers or have a higher level of access to OWC can upload these as separate predictions just for the moon, and they will become available for search. They will be distributed everything else, but OWC on its own, with its normal bulk event calculation, currently doesn't do moons, and I'm not sure whether it's going to be able to do it in near future, but I hope that one day it will be able to do that.
I have one quick question, a bit unrelated, but it's OW Cloud. So Joan just mentioned about there being an altitude corrected line that's white. Now I get a white line when I click on my chord in OW Cloud, but it doesn't seem to change across the mountains.
It should. So you can see this here, for example.
Okay.
So see how well the plotting is not great, but basically it's it's this one here. Maybe I can just go to an event. Are there mountains near Arizona? I think
I'll give you one 105950 for tonight.
Are you asking if the line the white line itself tends to follow the topography? Or are you asking if the line?
Yeah. And no. So it doesn't follow the topography. I just wanted to explain how it works.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't do that. So this is again another enhancement, but maybe I will do it at some point. But what it does right now is that when you go to look for a location, when you right click to choose a location, basically. So what's going to happen is that see how I clicked here.
Okay.
And then it did this little white thing over there. So this pretty much means that if I intend to observe at this location, actually what's going to happen is that, but I need to zoom out. Maybe that's not a.
Okay.
where's the mountains? Okay, there's some mountains here. So if I try to observe from this peak,
Okay.
actually my court is not going to be where the original line is, which is closer to the center line. It's going to be this shifted white line. This is your altitude corrected court.
Okay, that's great.
This is
All right,
how we know.
yeah, I never quite figured out what that was. I always thought it was just a.
The white line shows the offset with respect to the sea level based lines that are plotted on the map.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense to shift for that line to shift with altitude because it's all based on sea level.
Or let me explain this differently. So if you wanted to observe exactly from the center line, what you need to do is that if I click at the center line, it will shift. What I need to do is I need to find a place where after the shift, the white line will overlap with the green line. And if you find this is how you know.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just misunderstood how that worked. I just assumed it was something to do with the inaccuracy in the position, as in, when you're trying to hide your chord. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, now I understand. Thanks.
Yes, and IOTA desktop shows this as well. So all of the chord positions shown on this little plot will be already corrected for this, basically in OW. Sorry, in IOTA desktop as well.
Okay.
So even that your actual positions on the sea level plotted path, which is what's displayed here, is on this side, which is right of the center line. When you submit this position, it will be calculated everywhere that it's actually very close to the center. It's in a different place. So this is already taken into account.
It can make a big difference for small asteroids in the mountains.
Yeah, I bet, eh?
But yeah, so I think the takeout from this is that, for a small asteroid, when you click on it, look of where your white line is shifted to, because that's where it is. So if you're going to want to do the center line, make sure that your white line is close to the center line after you clicked somewhere. This is how you know.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. I've been talking already for almost an hour, so.
All right, you have, yes. Well, it's been very, very useful and helpful. We're always glad to hear from you. Thanks for taking the time.
No worries. It was necessary to show you some of the stuff that has been happening.
Oh,
and not many people knew.
Great stuff too. Okay, well, we're at the end of our day today. 4 hours, no breaks. Thank you everybody for hanging in there. We'll start again tomorrow at the same time, 2000 Universal Time. And the first speaker tomorrow will be Mark Simpson talking about the Astrid imaging system. So if there are no other comments.
Wait. Yes, before everyone leaves, everyone should turn on their camera and we should get a screenshot to document. Ted Swift will need this for the meeting minutes.
Okay, well, everybody who's still on, turn their cameras on, and I will, if they're there, I will take a screenshot. We were up to 60.
Can you get a screenshot of everybody?
Yeah, everybody who's here at the moment fits on one screen.
Ted, we don't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
That's Swift, I think.
Okay, everybody, we were up to 67 at one point. I do have a screenshot of everybody who turned their camera on right now. So, oh, wait a minute, there's another screen full over here. 1 second. Oh, here's more people. Okay, we've got page 2. Let me just save the first one into something like, hang on here. Come on. Too many windows open, eh? All right, end slideshow. There we go. Okay. Page 10. Okay, you got that one. Now I'll capture number 2. Got it.
Right.
Got it all now.
So we were up to 67, you said?
67 was the highest I saw during the talk.
Great,
Pretty good.
thanks. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to get a screenshot of everybody on mine, so I'm glad you got it. Thank you.
I got two shots here, and I'll send those to you.
Great.
All right, thanks everyone. This has been recorded, so within a few days or a week or so, I'll have this split up. And if any of you have presentations that you have already presented, please send them to me, tedblank@gmail.com, so that I can add them to the website along with a link to the YouTube version of your talk. So thank you. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you.
Best night,
Thank
everybody.
you. Thanks, guys.